to Barbara Hartwell again.
Well, let me ask you, was it Alex Jones or Michael Trudeau or Ted Anderson?
It was Alex Jones.
Okay.
Because I have Jeremy's testimony on this too. I published it on my website, by the way. Anybody, let me give out the blog spot. It's barbarahartwell.blogspot.com, and I have a few articles on there. I think one of the reports is GCN and Alex Jones ban Hartwell for truth. That's one of the titles of the article. Anyway, then it got even worse, because after Jeremy was threatened by Alex Jones, I'm not saying that some of these other network executives were not involved. I'm sure they were, but Alex Jones was the point man on this one. And so he threatened Jeremy, and Jeremy, I guess, basically told him to go to hell because you're censoring me and you're censoring my guests, and you don't have the right to do that. And Jeremy quit. He quit GCN. And as a result of this, and he wrote something on it himself. It's in my article, I believe, on my website. Jeremy told the whole story. He was telling the truth. I was telling the truth. And of course, Alex Jones lied. He claimed that he fired Jeremy Floyd. That did not happen. Jeremy Floyd went over to Truth Radio, another station. I don't know if you know that station.
No, that one I missed.
Okay, but anyway, it's a smaller station. It doesn't have, it's nowhere near what GCN listeners, the number of listeners.
That
but
one is, yeah.
It's a little Christian station, Truth Radio. But anyway, Jeremy went over there for a while. But the whole point is that immediately after this, I knew why it happened. I knew why it happened because Alex Jones and the people over at GCN were protecting Ted Gunderson. They were protecting Ted Gunderson. They didn't want the truth out there. They didn't want the truth out there. And then it later emerged that what some of these connections actually are. Why are they protecting Ted Gunderson? Why are they promoting Ted Gunderson and John DeCamp? Why? And yet a person comes on just telling a truthful story with facts. With facts. It's not like I didn't have the facts or didn't have evidence. Instead of allowing me to speak, I'm ripped off the air, and not only that, I was banned basically from GCN, from the whole network. So, what do you think about that?
All right, a couple things. And let me just say this, because this is me saying it.
Mm-hmm.
I had on 3 guests talking off the record about John DeCamp. Now, this is where it gets weird, and I can be convicted of the same thing that I've convicted others of doing, and that is, my intelligence. Well, I'm not so sure those people wouldn't come out and say anything about it, but you made a statement that was cautionary about John DeCamp, and I was like, what?
Because I about years ago, Keith?
Yeah, and of course this was after I just read the Franklin cover-up.
Okay.
And I had seen the video, and I'm like, and that's when I was like, well, all right, Barbara, okay. But now let me fast forward. So this is me saying it, not Barbara. I said 3 guests. 2 of them were a husband and wife team that deal with ritual abuse survivors, and another was accosted by DeCamp. All right, forgive me, but you had said to me he might be part of the problem.
Something along those lines. Yeah.
And that's it. And that's it. So, that's where it ends. I let that go. I thought about it, and then it was just last year, or I think it was probably 2007, when I was talking to these individuals, and independently, without knowing, the couple from the other person who said something had said, no, this guy's not clean. Well, there you go. Well,
here's the thing, Keith. Also, one of the things that really raised a ruckus, because I did tell the truth, the person who actually, without going to any details on this program, but I can tell you this, that I confronted Ted Gunderson in 1999. It was November of 1999. I was at his son's house. His son lives in New Jersey, and I had just spoken at a conference with Ted, and he invited me and my bodyguard to spend a couple of days with his family, and we did. And, you know, I confronted Ted with something, and I said, is it true, without giving the specifics here on this program, but I said, is such and such true regarding John DeCamp? And Ted Gunderson admitted to me that what I had told him was true. I didn't ask him, I told him I already knew about it because I did. And I did not give Ted my source at the time. I simply confronted him with the facts of what I knew to be true. I said, I have it from an unimpeachable source, and I just need to know if you know about it also. And he told me that he did know about it. And at that time, I was horrified, naturally, because I said, Ted, how could you be covering for this person? How could you? You know, at this time, I didn't even know everything that I know now about Ted Gunderson, about some of the black ops that he was involved in and all kinds of things. But, you know, I was horrified, and I said, there's just no excuse. You know, there's no excuse, and that ended my friendship with Ted Gunderson. I in good conscience, you know.
Well, I mean, DeCamp did a good work with the Franklin cover-up, but now, I mean, and I'll say this is supposition based on some kind of logic, and that is the reason he was able to get that book out was because Colby was backing him. And then when Colby died, whoops, but I mean, at least it got out, and I'm sure that, you know, well, I'm not sure about anything, but it would seem that DeCamp was backed, was able to get the information, did his job, and then, of course, when Colby was assassinated, now all of a sudden, DeCamp's twisted in the wind, but they were supposedly some items, I guess you could say, where they didn't have to kill him, but they could at least blackmail him into shutting up from that point on.
Well, that's how they operate, Keith. You know, I mean, that's the really sad thing to me. I mean, most of those people, anybody who reaches a level of in the government, like John DeCamp, you know, or Ted Gunderson, most of those people are compromised. And they do it on purpose. I mean, whatever their character flaws are that would allow them to get involved in these dirty dealings, I mean, that's something between them and God. I mean, that's not something I can even comment on. But if somebody's dirty in that way, they'll find out about it, and they will use it against you.
Well, the thing about Gunderson, I mean, this is no crime, but I did find it interesting that he had such a ubiquitous nature. I mean, he was everywhere he had to be.
Sure.
And, you know, and you wonder, is anybody really a former FBI agent, especially if you've been an SAC? And I'm like, well, I don't know. But then, of course, one of the things that's not brought out to light is that he's the CEO of HEB Incorporated, which is the umbrella organization that supports the American Free Press. Oh, yeah. Which is a major Jew-bashing outfit, too. So. Oh,
of course. And that thing, you know, it's funny because I didn't really pay much attention to that publication. Somebody showed it to me a few years ago, and I just laughed. I looked at it, and I started reading some of the articles, and I laughed, and I said to the person, I said, hey, this is filled with disinformation. I just looked at it. I can tell. I mean, I have a radar. I know what I'm reading here, and I said, this is a propaganda organization, you know. And if it's one thing I can't tolerate, Keith, it's Jew bashing or bashing of anybody for that matter.
Agreed.
You know, I don't care who it is. That's just plain wrong, you know.
Well, I mean, and I'll admit this too. One is that I do not see, I think Christians are badly deceived that the nation-state of Israel is any fulfillment of Old Testament prophecy. That to me is complete misconstruing.
Yeah, well, that's another issue too. But
right, but the thing is, my point is that people will say to me,
what they're doing though is basically it's politically expedient for them to promote propaganda, demeaning and denouncing a whole